Walt Disney didn't create the magic. He copied it. In a world of splendor or sprawl, he packaged it in his theme parks, surrounded them by parking lots, and made the feeling of walking through a park or a main street an event. Just like tonight, here in Korçë. It's strange to me now that people travel all over the globe to get what people here get on a midsummer's evening at Rinia Park. Perhaps the destination is the park itself. Perhaps it's the walk. Or perhaps it's something harder to name. Or the destination might be that feeling that Disney copied, that magic. Because here's a simple truth you can see from the park lights. If you want to feel happy, be surrounded by thousands of people who are. I've never seen so many people walk for no simpler pleasure than joy itself. Here in Albania, they call it the jee-roh. In Italia, the passeggiata. In Hellas, the volta. In España, the paseo. Other parts of the world have it too. In Japan, it's called the sanpo. It's just an evening stroll, but here, in Albania, in Korçë, in this little slice of heaven high on a fertile plateau at the foot of the Morava Mountains, in an even smaller slice of park, longer than it is wide, you can see practically all of the town's inhabitants. Walking, strolling, enjoying the evening, enjoying each other, the camaraderie, the friendship, a romantic date, a place for kids to play. Look around you. No one is screaming, no one is rushing, people are smiling, and I hope it makes you smile too. 5 languages. 5 cultures that never met and came to the same conclusion. When a behavior shows up across the whole map of human settlement, from the mountains of southern Europe to the islands of Japan, you are not looking at a custom, you are looking at a need. Something so deeply human that every civilization worth the name found its own word for it. Listen for a moment. Underneath everything, that sound is shoes on stone. Thousands of pairs, none of them in step, and yet they arrive together as one sound, like water. No music is playing. Nobody organized this. Nobody sent a notification. Somebody's grandmother decided the evening had cooled enough, put on her good shoes, and the whole city agreed. That's not nothing. That's everything. Politics here doesn't matter, for most, nor does class or station. The jee-roh has always been part parade. There are people out here tonight counting what other people are wearing. That's human, and it walks here too. But watch what the walk does to it. The path doesn't check your station at the gate. For most, it's just a Monday night in early August. A chance to see as much as a place to be seen. This isn't a place of division and polarity. This is a place where neighbor meets neighbor. Generations walking together. A feeling, a tradition as old as humanity. Everyone is a part of the joy here. All are welcomed under the pine and oaks. It is part of their Mikpritja, the Albanian hospitality. That word is bigger than the English translation lets on. When we hear hospitality, we think of hotels. Someone paid to be kind, paid to say welcome. That is not this. Mikpritja is built out of mik, the guest, and pritje, the receiving of the guest. It is not a service performed, it is a standing. In the old highland law that governed this land for centuries, the Kanun, there is a line about the guest that stops me every time I think about it. The house belongs to God and to the guest, not to the man who built it, not to the family who paid for it, to God and to whoever knocks. That is not hospitality as courtesy. That is hospitality as moral architecture. And that is the soil this park is growing in. And underneath Mikpritja sits something older and heavier. Besa. Besa is not a mood. It is not a general warmth. Besa is the pledge, your word, given and therefore binding. Once you are under my protection, harming you is the same as harming me. That is not a sentiment. That is a law. That is the root system you are walking on tonight. What's under the ease you feel on this path? The nods, the space people make for each other, is a promise made and kept by people who are all dead now on behalf of strangers they would never meet. Culture is not what people say, it is what they do when it costs them something. But here, you're not just a guest. You are a participant, and with every smile you broadcast that welcome back unto others. The golden rule made manifest in the mirror of the dappled reflection on the fountains. There's a name for what this park is. This promise, this Besa, is what makes a place more than just a park. It turns it into what some call a third place, a spot that isn't home or work, but where life actually happens. Rinia is not just the living lungs of the city, the green space, a place that offers solace to the weary or shade from an unrelenting sun. It is a communal heart, a place that belongs to none alone and to all. A commons, a right to be enjoyed and savored, a duty to be protected and shared. The third place is where a society actually happens. Status gets left at the door, conversation is the main activity, regulars set the tone, newcomers get absorbed, nobody is keeping score, it has to be free or nearly free, it has to be walkable, and you have to be able to show up alone and still find somebody there. Now count how many of those you have. Modernity has subverted the third place and called it progress. We built the mall and closed the square. We built the highway and killed the corner store. We built the subdivision and forgot the sidewalk. And what replaced it? A warmth we no longer feel, a light from a device that beckons when we place it down. We wonder why people are lonely, why democracy is fraying, why neighbors don't know each other anymore. The infrastructure for knowing each other was demolished, one zoning decision at a time, one parking lot at a time, one drive-through at a time. Which brings us back to a word we've almost lost. A commons is a thing that belongs to everybody and therefore to nobody in particular. A pasture held by a village. A forest maintained by a town. The air. This path. This isn't magic. It might feel that way, but it does need to be protected. A right without the duty is just consumption, and consumption is how a commons dies. Look up. The majestic trees offer nature at a human scale, a place that asks of you to share its beauty and awe. Somebody planted these. Every large tree you walk under tonight was put in the ground by a person who knew they would never sit in its shade. Pines and oaks are not a crop. They are a letter written to strangers, delivered 80 years late. When was the last time you did something for someone you would never meet? Did you ever plant a tree that the next generation would one day walk under? These trees are civic infrastructure. We talk about the climate as loss, and it is loss, but there's a failure of imagination in talking about it only as sacrifice, as if the good life is the expensive one and virtue means going without. Then you stand here on a Monday, in the middle of 1,000 people having the best evening they can, and you add up the cost. Some shoes, some streetlights, a few hundred trees that were somebody's gift, almost everything that actually makes a human being happy, being known, being outside, being among people, moving a body designed to move, watching light change through leaves, was never the part that was burning the planet. We were sold the other thing, and then we were sold the memory of this thing at the gate. It is our right to enjoy these trees, and it is our obligation to be stewards of them, of the earth that holds them, of the air that fills them, of the future that will need them. Stewardship is not a sacrifice, it's a form of love. Now let me tell you what this walk will do to you if you let it, another kind of magic. A body moving at walking pace unlocks something a body at a desk cannot. Walking gives you motion without decisions. Your legs handle themselves, your eyes are fed, and the part of your mind that is always managing, always drafting the email, always rehearsing the argument, finally has nothing to run. That's when clarity arrives. Not as argument, as understanding. So walk with the problem, not at it. And notice what reason feels like out here in a crowd at dusk among 1,000 people who are in no hurry. It's calm. If your thinking about the world only ever arrives hot, anxious, outraged, contemptuous, it isn't thinking yet. It's reaction and opinion. The walk is the antidote. Not because it makes problems disappear, but because it puts you in a state where you can actually see them. Watch a face come out of the dark, pass through the lamplight, and go. Something happens in the doing of it. There is an old couple who have walked this path 1,000 times and walk it tonight as if it is still new. There are teenagers pretending not to look at each other with a sincerity no film has fully caught. There is a father carrying a sleeping child the way you carry something you would not put down for anything. There is a group of old men doing absolutely nothing with great competence and mutual satisfaction. There is a joy in the belonging. There's a magic in that as well. Walt Disney didn't create the magic. He copied it, and he would have told you so himself. The main street you walk down when you enter his park was not designed, it was remembered. Walt spent 4 years of his boyhood in Marceline, Missouri, a small town on the Santa Fe Railroad line. A few thousand people, quiet and ordinary in the way American small towns were before the highway erased them. When it came time to build the entrance to Disneyland, he did not design a street, he recalled one: the storefronts, the lamps, the awnings, a sidewalk narrow enough that you had to acknowledge the person walking toward you. He built it slightly smaller than life, so the world inside the gate would feel a little kinder than the one you left in the parking lot. He built it from memory. And he built it because by 1955 the thing he was remembering was already gone. The country was pouring itself into highways and cul-de-sacs and drive-thrus. So Walt took the last living feeling of the American small town, put a fence around it, surrounded it by asphalt, and charged admission to walk down a street that used to be free. And it works. People fly across oceans for it. And they stand at the end of that street with tears in their eyes and call it magic. It isn't magic, it's memory. It's copied from places like this that still exist. That's real magic. It's a piece of being human we have carried for 10,000 years, since the first evening when people who had worked together all day came out simply to be together in the cooling air. Most of the modern world traded it away for something that seemed more convenient and then paid to have it sold back through a gate. Disney got the storefronts right. He got the lamps right. He got the scale right. He could never get the last thing right because the last thing can't be built. Thousands of people have to choose to come outside. They did it tonight. They did it last night. They will do it tomorrow. Nobody here thinks it's remarkable, and yet everyone still sees the magic in the act, in the legacy of the commitment to keeping it alive, of making a simple walk on a beautiful evening an event. A gift of grace, of honoring those who walked these paths before, an acknowledgement of presence and a gift to posterity if they keep it alive. It is as ordinary as breathing, and it is as endangered as every other commons we have allowed to be priced, fenced, or forgotten. History speaks to us if we listen, and what it is saying here, on this path, on this ordinary Monday evening, is something we urgently need to hear. We are at a crossroads. Not a metaphorical one. The trees we plant today determine whether what we leave our grandchildren is livable. The commons we protect or surrender today determines whether our grandchildren have anywhere to be together. The civic muscles we exercise or let atrophy today determine whether the institutions we inherited survive to be passed forward. This channel hopefully keeps the magic alive, a way of standing in the world, of recognizing that the things that make us fully human, reason, beauty, compassion, civic life, curiosity, the examined life, the walk taken for no reason but joy, are not extras. They are not luxuries, they are the point. That is what we are doing here, recognizing in a small Albanian park on a summer evening something that most of the world has lost, and understanding that it is worth protecting, worth naming, worth bringing forward to the people who will come after us. Will our descendants look back at the choices we made when it mattered and thank us? Or will they look at what we left them and shake their heads at what we allowed to slip away? The future isn't written, but our choices are the ink. Up ahead, the path runs out, and the whole river of people does something I never get tired of watching. Without any announcement, without any signal, the crowd turns and comes back, and you meet the same faces again, going the other way, and the second time, you nod. That's the Xhiro. It doesn't go anywhere. That was never the point. Take the practice home, find the hour, leave the house with no destination. Go where the people are and let them be a pleasure instead of a cost. Learn one face, then two. And defend the free thing near your home, the bench, the square, the path, the shade, because somebody with a spreadsheet is always coming for it, and the only thing that has ever saved a commons is people who showed up often enough to miss it. He who finds a friend finds a treasure, and what would be the good of a treasure if you couldn't share it? The Renaissance spirit is not somewhere else, not in the past, not behind a gate. It is here, in the kindred spirit you recognize in a stranger's eyes, in the tree planted for you by someone you will never meet, in the promise ordinary people made to strangers across time. Besa, kept. Curiosity, compassion, reason, civic virtue, the examined life. The walk taken for no purpose but the joy of being alive and human in the company of others. This is the practice. This is the invitation. We are the same, all of us. One species, one story, one long, imperfect conversation across time. And tonight, for this hour in this park, the conversation is going well. My dear traveler, you are not just a guest here. You are a participant. And here, the trees, the lights, the shoes on the stone, the whole warm murmur of a town that still knows how to be a town. Do you feel it? Disney didn't invent this. He could only imitate it. Because the real magic was never inside a theme park. It was always here, waiting on a summer evening, under trees someone planted for people they'd never meet.